Folks, welcome back. My name's Alex. This is Nostalgianomics. We did it. We made it through another week in this wild, crazy Pokemon hobby. Give yourselves a pat on the back. It is no small feat in this new cycle, in this market that we find ourselves in. I've been sick all week. This is the first day I'm feeling a little bit better, meaning I wanted to put out a longer form video and talk about a lot of the topics that I really haven't had a chance to talk about all week that I think are very relevant and I think a lot of people need to hear that will help you going forward into the rest of this holiday season and into next year. And anyone that saw the podcast yesterday that me and Pokey Plumber do, the investor and collector, you probably heard one of these topics I'm going to talk about in a second, but I wanted to reiterate it here today and kind of expand it on a little more. And so, yeah, sit back, relax. It's going to be a longer form video. Enjoy the rant. So that first topic I'm talking about is the topic of theft, because there's been an uptick on theft, more so in the physical card show, Collecticon, that type of thing, venue. It's still happening, obviously, online. There's always going to be theft online. And I don't like to talk about this stuff on the channel much because I like to keep my channel geared towards positivity and positive things. I usually let the Rattles and the Opossum Buds and the drama channels and stuff cover this kind of stuff. And there's nothing wrong with covering it. It's just, for me, it's kind of like turning on the news and seeing there was another murder. I don't need to turn on the news every single day and see someone was murdered. I just kind of know it happens. In the back of my mind, I don't need to turn it on and see it every day. And that's kind of how I feel about the thefts and all the scams and everything. I know they happen. I don't need it to be thrown in my face every single day to know it happens, right? But some people like that kind of thing. And so I'm not against it. It's just why I don't do it here. And so Pokey Plumber brought it up and we talked about it a little bit, but I wanted to expand on it a little bit because it is on an uptick. And I think a lot of people in this hobby have just become too trusting and a little naive. And maybe they just didn't grow up, or maybe they're just younger and they haven't been through this dark, cruel world. But, I think for me, when I was growing up, I played a lot of high-level hockey where I traveled all across the country. And, as we started to get older and we got into our, 13, 14, 15-year-old range, our parents would let us kind of go out, amongst the town a little bit more by ourselves without, a parent or guardian with us. And so, we kind of learned early, how to kind of be aware of your surroundings and go places as groups and, watch your back, watch yourself, watch your money or your belongings. And, it was kind of always instilled into me, kind of that street smart mentality from a young age, where I think a lot of people maybe haven't went through that and they don't understand that that's kind of the way they need to be at these conventions or out in public, right? A good term is having your head on a swivel, right? You always just want to kind of be watching all sides, at all times, or at least have a friend or, your wife or husband kind of walking behind you or you walking behind them and watching their backpack, watching their pockets, like have them carry everything. You don't have anything in yours that people can steal. So you don't need anyone to watch your back, but kind of be a little bit behind them, watching them. Right. Or if they're, if you're at a table, negotiating, kind of have your backpack off in between your legs, have your cash and everything accounted for, like kind of in front of you, make sure that no one can kind of get in on you while you're kind of preoccupied or anything like that. Like, I understand this sucks. Like, this sucks to talk about, but these are the things you need to be aware of when you're in public. Like, this is real life, right? This isn't on a Pokemon game. This is real life. Criminals are going to come to places where there's things like unregistered assets that can be stolen and literally disappear, right? There's no record of them. Well, Alex said that they steal a PSA card, they can have the slab number. They can just crack the slab and send the card in and get it regraded, right? Sealed product. There's no way to determine sealed product, right? Things can be stolen in an instant at an event and you're never going to find them again. Cash can be stolen, right? People bring large amounts of cash to these things. And I just see people being way too trusting and way too just nonchalant about, their belongings. So, there's more stories coming out every day of people getting things stolen from. So be much more vigilant about what you're doing. Vendors, you too, right? If you see a bunch of people coming up to your table and wanting this, wanting that, wanting to see this card, look, it's okay to tell people they have to wait. And maybe you lose some customers. Maybe people get impatient and you lose some customers. I don't know. I mean, I know Bulbasaur, he's got a great following, but he's got a line lined up at his booth and he only takes one at a time. That's how he does it. That's how he, gets away with not getting stolen from. He doesn't let 10 people come up and hand out 10 different cards and items and then realize, wait a second, I only got 8 or 9 of those cards and items back. Where'd the other 1 or 2 go? Oh, the guy walked off with it, right? And so that's one of the ways you can protect yourself is don't just like kind of give things out and lose sight of them or lose track of it. Always deal with people one-on-one. If you want to go up to one-on-two, you can. Maybe have more people behind your booth helping you, whatever it may be. Also, if you're in a section of people that you like and you trust and you want to help out, right? Keep an eye on their stuff for them. Like if you got no one at your booth and someone else seems crowded, just kind of, glaze over there and gaze and see what people are going on, and like just kind of keep an eye on stuff for them. Everyone kind of work together to make sure they're not getting stolen from. Like these are some of the things you're going to have to start thinking about. And I know these are some of the things that people say, well, Alex, you shouldn't have to think about that. Well, in a perfect world where everything's sunshine and rainbows, yeah, maybe you shouldn't, but you do. This is the real world. Get used to it. There's nasty people out there. It's not going to slow down, right? There's always going to be thieves. And any time where a bunch of money and very expensive collectibles come together, thieves are going to descend upon those venues. So that's kind of my advice on the theft. Pay much closer attention and take precautions, and don't be as kind of, just nonchalant and naive as maybe you have been before, because anyone can get stolen from on any given day if they lose sight of the prize. Online, guys, it's the same as always. There's always going to be the whatnot scams and all that kind of stuff. Look, always read the reviews. Always make sure the person's been around a while. Watch their streams for a little bit. Make sure you don't see anything shady going on. Make your best guess on there. If you're buying on like an eBay or TCG player, same thing. Read the reviews. Make sure they've been around a long time. They're very established. They're selling a lot of other Pokemon or collectible items that all seem legit. The descriptions and pictures all look spot on. As long as all that's right, eBay's money back guarantee is going to cover you anyway if it doesn't come in the condition shown and all that. So you should be pretty good there. As far as selling on those platforms, I don't know if the scamming on the other side is as big of a deal, but yeah, there are always going to be credit card chargeback scams and, people buying sealed product, not pulling anything and claiming that you searched the packs or gave them, weighed packs or whatever. But guys, look, all of you have been on my streams before, and you see me open these XY Sun and Moon Sword and Shield boxes, and you can literally go 10, 12, 14 packs in a row with no hits in a brand new sealed box that I've literally bought from distribution or someone that has got from distribution. I've ripped the case, ripped the box myself. It happens, right? There's no scamming going on. Pokemon's got issues with the way they batch their products, with the way they load their boxes. It's just the way it is. If you buy packs or boxes or whatever from somebody and you don't get the hits that you wanted, 9 times out of 10, it's not their fault. I'm not saying there aren't people that do scam out there, but if you bought from a trusted seller, they got tons of feedback. Don't go blaming the seller and try to, get your money back and trash their name. 9 times out of 10, you just got unlucky. So just keep that in mind. It's not always you got scammed. So that's the theft portion, guys. I don't want to go any more into it. Again, you can watch the other channels if you want to hear about theft every day. I just don't like to talk about it. Just be more aware. That's simple. Silver Tempest. All right. Silver Tempest is the new set. It's in the news trend. I don't know why. All of a sudden, everyone is jumping on the Silver Tempest bandwagon. They're trying to buy it out from Pokemon Center. They're seeing the prices rise on TCG Player and that it's way above the MSRP of it. And so everyone's trying to be the last guest of the party, trying to get that last box. And, once that sells out, it's going to go to the moon. Look, my thoughts on it. Masses move markets. I've always said that since day one. Silver Tempest is probably going to sell out of Pokemon Center before long. And when it does, it'll probably create a, chain reaction, and it'll probably run up even more on TCG Player at eBay, and it'll probably be a 200 plus box. At which point, I think the interest will probably move away, because that's how fickle this Pokemon hobby is. They'll move on to the next news story, and Silver Tempest will likely go stagnant for a period of time again, because people will realize there was a reason why it was, trending lower than a lot of the other sets, and they'll realize that, oh, this is probably overvalued now, and I need to put money into these other sets because these other sets are actually much better and much sought after. And it's just one of these, news cycle trends that goes on in the hobby. If you're looking to get Silver Tempest for the long term, I do think it's a great buy. I think you should buy it. If you're trying to just get on this bandwagon thing and think it's going to go to the moon, I think you're going to be disappointed. I mean, you might be able to get it up to a point where you could make a profit on it and flip it, but it's probably not going to be a ton of profit. I don't think it's going to run to the freaking moon. It's not going to go to $300 a box or anything. Maybe it runs up from the, 140, 150 you can get it for on Pokemon Center after, fees or shipping or whatever, taxes and shipping. And maybe you can sell it for $200 in a month or two. And, after fees and shipping, you might make, 15, 20, 25 bucks. I don't know. But, if you want to try and do that weird play, you can. If you're trying to pick it up long term, still a great play, I think. But don't get too caught up in it. If you got enough Silver Tempest or you had money planned to go elsewhere, don't get lost in this madness and think you have to follow all these news trends and all the crowds. I honestly don't know why there's always these new sets that people like all attach onto, and the content creators pick it up and everyone talks about it and everyone kind of blows it up. It's just, but it moves markets, right? And what's funny is, even after it does move up and it kind of stagnates, even if it downturns a little bit, it'll always settle at a higher low. And it'll always set higher price points, and it's just the way the market moves over time. And so, yeah, I mean, I do believe it's probably gonna be the cheapest right now that you're ever gonna be able to find it again, because we're likely never gonna get more, and it's likely never gonna be this cheap. So, yeah, it's a good pickup, but like, don't get too freaked out on it. If you don't want Silver Tempest, there's other plays out there. That's my take on Silver Tempest. Prismatic Evolutions, guys, just stop talking about it. Stop complaining. If it's too expensive for you, just get out of your heads that it's all the store's fault and all these big, all big business fault. Like, just don't buy it, right? Just buy it later. Buy it in 6 months, a year, when it gets reprinted or there's more out there, the heat dies down and everyone's on Team Rocket or some other set. Just wait on it, right? Just keep buying other stuff that you can afford, right? Go back and buy it. I don't know, Paldea Evolved or Paradox Rift or Silver Tempest or, whatever else, right? You don't need to buy every single set right at release. If it's that big of a deal to you, if it causes you that much anger, don't support it. Don't support the businesses that are selling it at that. If enough people don't support the businesses that are selling it at those prices, guess what? The businesses won't be able to sell it at those prices, and then the price drops. This is all supply and demand market. There's too little supply, too much demand. This is how it's going to be right now. Get over it. Move on. It's still not even out. It's still not even out for another month or whatever. I think we're getting too crazy. As far as the Japanese version, I don't talk about Japanese that much because I just don't, really mess around in foreign markets. But yeah, the Terrestrial Festival is doing extremely well. I know it's sold out on Pokemon Center in Japan, which is a little different though, because Pokemon Center Japan's MSRP is nothing like English MSRP on English Pokemon Center. It's not like, where English comes out at normal retail prices of booster boxes at like $100 and they're actually MSRP'd at $160. The Japan MSRP is a little closer to what the actual retail price is. So it's not as crazy for it to sell out on the Japanese Pokemon Center, but it's definitely a something. The boxes are already running up. They're already more expensive. Here's the thing. One thing that's going to stunt the growth of that product is that the hits are not going to be hard to come by. They destroyed it. I'm going to say the word destroyed it with that God Pack. And here's the thing. Everyone loves God Packs, right? The problem is when you put a God Pack in every case, every 20 boxes, it's going to make the hits way too easy to hit. And that's why you're not going to see much value, in my opinion, in a lot of these Japanese cards, is because they make it too dang easy to pull them. And that's going to really hinder, in my opinion, the growth of a lot of the sealed product when it comes to the Terrestrial Festival, is because once all the, hype wears down and people realize there's way too many of the top hits out there, it's going to really, decline the value of the singles, which will kind of hurt and stagnate the value of the sealed. And so I don't think it was a good idea to make a God Pack with every major evolution hit in there. I get it's so fun to hit and all that. But guys, like 20 boxes is nothing, especially when Japanese product is so much cheaper than English product. I mean, gosh, people go through cases and cases of this a night on rip and ships. I mean, you're going to have, 5-10 God Packs per streamer pulled a night for the people that stream Japanese product. I mean, where does it end? Like, you think Moonbrion's a high population? Think of how high population these things are going to be when everything's said and done, especially when the Japanese print quality is so high. I mean, you're going to have 1,000,010s of every freaking evolution. So, I'm not a super big fan of that. I think it's going to hurt it. Hopefully English doesn't do anything like that and makes it a little harder to hit if they at least do God Packs, or at least don't put all the hits in there and stuff like that. We'll see though. We'll see how it affects things. That's kind of my take on it. The English market in general, guys, everything is moving up simultaneously right now. And it's making it extremely hard to find plays, right? Because now even Scarlet Violet base on TCG Player is 120. You have Paldea back in the 140s. You got Obsidian in the mid to high 120s, maybe 130 now. You've got Paradox, 125, 130. Temporals, 135, 140. You got, Twilight still holding in the 150s. I don't know, 160 again, something like that. You've got Stellar 120. You've got Surging Spark still holding extremely strong in the 210, 215 range. And even the ETBs, like 151, 100 plus. You've got, Paldean Fate, $60, $70. The only cheap set, the only like screaming play right now or screaming buy would be Shrouded Fable. And I don't really think it's a screaming play. I think it's a great price. Like if you can find an ETB case under $300, under 30 in ETB, I think your risk level is so freaking low that it almost makes sense just to buy some, because odds are it's at least going to go up to $40, $50 or so. And you're probably going to pretty easily make, 30, 40, 50, 60% on your money. And so if you want to take that route, that's a very low risk play, high probability play on Shrouded Fable. I don't think it's going to be one of these sets that's going to like everyone's going to all of a sudden love and it's going to moon. But I think it's very easy money to be made and very low risk if you guys want to take on Shrouded Fable. But everything else, we're getting to that point where there's very few obvious plays and the product's really drying up. And that's why you're seeing people go back to things like Silver Tempest and maybe eventually Astral Radiance. And then, maybe it goes back to Battle Styles and so on. But anyone's just looking for anything they can still find at a cheap price. And because of that, it's driving everything up, because anything that's perceived as cheap, it just gets bought. And if everything kind of gets risen, all the good sets get risen up to 150, well, then everyone's going to pay the 120 price on the cheaper sets. And when those start to rise to 130, 140, everyone's going to go back to buying the better sets at 150 and rise those to 160, 170. And this is going to kind of be a self-fulfilling prophecy of Pokemon investing, because the supply cannot catch up with this demand. I told you guys, we still need people to start losing money in this hobby and confidence to fall before we ever see this trend change. And I gotta tell you, unfortunately or fortunately to anyone out there, which way you see the market, right? If you're on the, the bullish side or the bearish side, I just don't see it ending anytime soon. I think we're going to continue to see this strength headed into next year, and middle of next year, end of next year. There's just nothing stopping it. The last thing I wanted to cover is be careful who you're listening to in this hobby. All right. Make sure you're vetting everyone. One of the most dangerous things I've seen in this hobby is people giving credit or listening to people because of their following or subscriber count. Guys, I have been preaching the same things since I had less than 100 subscribers. Okay. And I did the same thing at 1,000 and 10,000 and doing the same thing now when I was getting almost no views to the views I'm getting now. I've never changed, right? But back when I had less than 1,000 subscribers, I got ridiculed, made fun of. No one wanted to listen to me. I just got dogged. Now I have more subscribers and I get more views. And now people are coming back that used to make fun of me back then, or saying, "Oh yeah, Alex, I see it your way. Oh yeah, you're right. Oh yeah, good job, big dog." It's just like, what? Wait, you were calling me all kinds of names, saying how stupid I was, and now I'm credible? Well, yeah, I just kind of, it's like, no, what you did is now you're seeing it's getting views and subscribers. Now you're credible. That's so bad, man. There are so many channels that have so few subscribers and they have such great advice. And there are tons of channels who have far more subscribers than me, who get far more views, that have god-awful advice. And people take that advice because they just click through YouTube and say, "Oh, he gets a lot of views. He gets a lot of subscribers. Look at his comment sections. Everyone loves him. He must know what he's talking about." And they don't care that the person's been wrong 10, 20, 50 times. They just care that, oh, well, he must be a trusted voice in the community, right? Don't even think that about me. I don't care how many subscribers I get or how many views I get on the stupid videos. Judge someone by their results and anything that you can back test and the data supports what they're saying, right? That's what you should do. Don't blindly take anyone's word out there based on what kind of following they've built up. It is meaningless, guys. And I see too many people falling in this trap. They'll come in my live streams or they'll come in my comment sections and say, "Alex, I don't know about this. Have you seen what this guy said? Or did you see what this guy said? They have this many subs. They got this many views. They have distribution." It's like, guys, I just got distribution, right? I'm not a big guy, but I'm really good friends with Eli, Pokemon Art USA, right? He's got 5 distributors. He's a lot of the distributors, top accounts, right? He spends the most money. He gets a lot of privileged information already. All right. Maybe other people out there get more privileged information. I'm not here to play an information battle, but he gets a pretty good, juicy amount of information, right? I know a lot of the things all these other people know, right? Eli will let me get on and see his back end and see whatever I want. This idea that there's these people out there on YouTube that have all this secretive information and they're giving it to you guys, to the masses out there in the world, and no one else has this information. It's bullshit. Stop buying into it. All right. The truth is, no one knows where this market is heading. Now, when you've been involved with it and you've seen so many news cycles and so many ups and downs and trends, and you get a pretty good sense of how it works, and you can guess right a lot more times than you're going to be wrong. And this will build a track record that, kind of proves that you know a little bit about what you're talking about. Those are the people that you should be following and listening to. The ones that have experience, that have, been right enough times and become successful because of that. Not the people that, well, they're good at YouTube, they're good at, Instagram, they're good at, whatever it is, and they built a following and they're entertaining and they make flashy videos. They must know what they're talking about. If you're going to go down that road, it is going to be a sad, pitiful road for you. And you're probably going to wind up hurt, especially in the next 1, 2, 3 years, eventually when we do have a market downturn. Because what happens when those times come is a lot of those guys disappear. I can name you multiple 10, 20, 50,000 plus subscriber channels that disappeared after the 2021, 2022 market correction, after the whole pandemic thing. Tons of them. Because they built their name doing all the flashy things and hyping everything up and just being that, that feel-good channel that everyone wanted to come to. And because everything was going up, they were always right. And then when everything turned, they were getting a lot of hate, and they just hung it up and left YouTube. And there's going to be a lot of channels that you see that happen to in the next 1, 2, 3 years because they're not here for the right reasons, right? They don't really have a good understanding of the long-term implications of this market. And, once the easy money's gone and the easy, videos are gone and everything's not going up all the time and, things start getting a little hairy and, people start, getting angry and they start hating on you for stuff that you said and things they bought because of your videos, you're going to see a lot of people leave. And it's a sad thing. And then, because of that, you'll have a lot of other people leave the hobby because of that, because they'll have a bad taste in their mouth because they feel like they've been taken advantage of, they've been bamboozled, and it was a big pump and dump and all the stupid scam words that you hear about. And so be careful of that, right? Be careful of who you're listening to. There is just as good advice, if not better, with smaller channels as there are larger channels. And don't talk down the big channels either. The reason a lot of the big channels got big is because they have solid advice and good content. And they've been very successful. And they are very successful in the industry. I'm not trying to talk down the big channels. I'm just saying, make sure it's more. Make sure you're listening to those people for more than just the reason that they have a big following. Make sure you back test the things they're saying and you put it to the test and make sure it checks out before you just start blindly following. And that'll pay you dividends in the hobby. So that's the rant today, guys. I feel like I've got a lot of things out. I feel like that was a good Saturday video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. And as always, subscribe if you're not. Be back here to a new one soon. I'm out.